We've already waited too long to deal with this climate crisis. We can't wait any longer.
President Joe Biden moved to recommit the U.S. to the Paris Climate Agreement hours after being sworn in. Here's what that means. What is the Paris Agreement? The landmark 2015 accord among almost 200 countries brought together the developed and developing worlds to pledge limits on the greenhouse gas emissions that drive climate change. Those pledges are voluntary and non-binding, with the goal of holding the global rise in temperature to no more than 2 degrees Celsius. The pact aims to help the world avoid the rising seas, superstorms, and other catastrophic consequences of climate change.
To protect American workers, I withdrew the United States from the unfair and one-sided Paris Climate Accord.
Former President Trump, who called the pact a total disaster for our country, said the agreement would hurt American competitiveness by enabling a giant transfer of American wealth to foreign nations responsible for most of the world's pollution. Trump said the regulations necessary to meet the U.S. emissions targets hurt the U.S. economy by killing jobs related to fossil fuels, especially coal mining. What had the U.S. originally pledged? Under former President Obama, the U.S. pledged to cut its carbon dioxide emissions 26 to 28% from 2005 levels by 2025. In addition, the U.S. was being counted on to contribute heavily to a green climate fund that helps poor nations invest in renewable energy. The fund is falling short of its target, with the U.S. halting payments in 2017. Will that pledge change under Biden? It's expected to. Environmentalists say they anticipate Biden will develop a more stringent carbon-cutting pledge as the U.S. seeks to restore trust with other countries. Biden's newly installed climate envoy, John Kerry, has insisted that as one of the world's major emitters, the U.S. needs to lead by example with new, more aggressive targets that help drive global ambition.
We rejoin the international climate effort with humility, and I mean that, and ambition. Humility because we know we've wasted 4 years in which we were inexcusably absent. Humility knowing that today almost no country, and for certain no continent, is getting the job done.
What's Biden's plan to reduce emissions? Biden has outlined a $2 trillion blueprint for clean energy and infrastructure, with investments in electric vehicle charging stations, weatherizing buildings, and renewable power, as well as a goal of achieving an emissions-free electric grid by 2035. Biden has also promised to impose new limits on greenhouse gas emissions from automobiles, power plants, and oil wells that were eased under Trump. Is the Paris Agreement helping slow global warming? Not enough so far. Human activities are estimated to have already caused about 1 degree Celsius of warming, and temperatures are continuing to increase at a rate of about 0.2 degrees Celsius per decade. UN officials say that global temperatures are on track to rise 3 to 5 degrees by the end of this century, well beyond the targeted cap of 2 degrees. Even with the U.S. involved, academics were concerned the world was headed for extensive species extinctions, serious crop damage, and irreversible increases in sea levels. I'm Jennifer Delowy for Bloomberg News.